Hey guys, we are back with a new season of Benny Shakes Things Up. Yes, you've heard it, we're back. We've been away for a while because everyone's back gigging like usual. But over the past few months, I've seen some up and coming disabled artists um do comedy, art, all sorts. So we're gonna start back up. Yeah, I'm trying to do it once a week, but it might be every fortnight. I see how I feel. Um, this week we've got the lovely lady Rabiah Coon. She's from London. Well, she's from America. But we'll find out more about her in a bit when she comes on. Um, I met her over lockdown, like you do on Zoom gigs. Um, she's come on Blue Badge Bunch several times, and I like the way she works. And we were talking one night, and she said she had a disability. So I thought, why not bring her on the show? So I won't spoil it. She will tell us what she's got. And yeah, over to you, Rabia. Welcome, Rabia, to Benny Shakes Things Up. How are you?
Good, thanks, Benny. I'm really excited to get to chat with you. I'm already laughing for no reason. So,
Yeah. Well, the intro, I said we were speaking last week, and you told me you had a disability, and I went, "Oh, do you want to do Benny Shakes Things Up then?"
yeah.
So, would you like to tell us a bit about your disability?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, so I'll just get into it. I guess I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed with that about, well, I hate to admit it, but like 24 years ago. Now I'm turning 44 this week. And so it's for me, I mean, I'd say it's an invisible illness at this point as far as like what other people can observe for the
Yeah,
most part, unless they know me well and they might notice something with me. But MS is a disease that it's an autoimmune, but it's affects the whole central nervous system, or it can. And basically you get lesions on your spine and in your brain because your white blood cells recognize the myelin, which is this sheath around all your nerves. It recognizes it as something it needs to attack sometimes, and so your white blood cells attack it, and then scars form, and then that can affect the way your nerves are carrying information. So can affect movement, can affect vision, um, cognitive, like your thinking, um, and other things. I mean, everything basically. It just depends on who you are and how what it's doing to you. So I've been very lucky having it for this long, and really kind of having symptoms that have been managed overall.
yeah. I mean, it must be hard to get that diagnosis. I mean, I was born with my condition, so I'm like, it's natural, but to get a diagnosis of you will get worse,
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah,
it's like that game where you put the one bullet in the gun and you
Russian
go
roulette.
around. It's a bit like that. When will it go off? Is it today? Is it tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's definitely been and it's hard not to live like that, like to live
Yeah,
in a space that you're thinking, when am I going to get worse, versus like what I try to do on good days and I don't always do it. And it's hard. And I don't know, Benny, for you, but like for me, it's hard because sometimes people say, oh, you're so positive, whatever. It's like, well, you have no idea how
yeah,
not positive I am sometimes too. But it's more, I try to live like I have today, so I'm going to do X and Y, versus tomorrow might be bad. Like it's just kind of flipping it around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, when I was diagnosed, I was a kid basically. I was like, 19, 20 years old in college. Um, the diagnosis process, I think for me, was pretty smooth overall. I was lucky with my doctors, but it still took 6 months, and it
yeah,
still took a really bad delivery of the news by the doctor and stuff like that. But I think I definitely had this phase of about a decade where I just thought, well, I'm gonna die anyway. I'm gonna not walk anyway. I'm gonna, lose all these things. And so what's the point? And then other things happen in my life, and there's a point,
yeah.
but
There is.
yeah,
You do amazing stuff. You're a comedian. You do also.
yeah.
So, what made you come over to this country then?
Oh,
Because
the
you're
weather.
not from this country,
No,
are you?
no, it's just the weather is beautiful here. I love it. No, um I work in IT as my primary job, and I've worked in that for almost 2 decades now.
Yeah,
And basically the company I'm at has always been remote, but we have clients in Europe and clients
yeah.
in the States and everywhere. And essentially I was getting sent over here for projects. Like I lived in Madrid for 3 months to be on a
Oh
project. I would
no.
come to London to be on a project for a couple months at a time. And so they finally just said, hey, do you want to give it a shot? And it took about a year from that question being asked to getting over here. But yeah, I basically said, yeah, like I'd love to. And I just thought about, my family's pretty healthy. I'm pretty healthy. Um, and my family being my mom and sister and my
Yeah,
nephews and niece.
yeah.
Not, I don't have a family back home that I left,
No,
like kids or
no.
something. And then I just thought I can travel. The joke was on me. I was like, oh, I could travel. Then I moved right before COVID. But
Yeah,
yeah, so it was to try something new and a new experience. And I think for anyone living outside of their country or even hometown or whatever is really valuable to,
yeah,
building up your view of the world. Um,
yeah.
so
I mean, I've travelled a bit, but not as much as you. That's for sure. I've been to Turkey,
oh,
Switzerland, Berlin, and that's it really. So
yeah. I was in Turkey last year. That's wild. Like
it is. They
Istanbul.
did not their women. Did you notice that?
What are they? Well, there was all different. I noticed a lot. Put it that
No,
way.
the men over there like women when they come from the UK. They're very flirty, flirty.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, there was one there was one almost interlude, I'll say, to my trip.
All right,
But
lovely.
but yeah, I mean that tends to be, and I guess I kind of, well, being American too, it wasn't, I didn't have the same accent they like. Although people here say they like the American accent, I don't get it. I'm just like, I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it definitely, I had a couple people talk to me, and that doesn't happen here very much. And I kind of usually don't get that aimed at me too often. But yeah, it happened.
well, yeah. Cool. So, where are we? What made you go into comedy then? I nearly forgot what it was then.
Yeah, I mean, I so I it's I mean, there's like the long version and short version and medium version, I guess. But basically, I mean, I enjoyed writing
Yeah.
since I was young, and I actually in college I took an extra year because I spent a year just kind of, it was after my diagnosis. I spent a year kind of fooling around and just doing writing courses and stuff instead of my subject.
Um,
And that was a long time ago, and I just I don't know, I've always kind of used humor to deflect from difficult things or
Yeah,
to kind of, just I don't know, like diffuse situations, but also draw attention away from me, but it draws it to you. And I often my self-deprecation was a big thing for me for a very long
yeah,
time. And I've tried really hard not to do it anymore because I realized how much it was hurting me. And doing that on stage in a certain way can alienate the audience too. So it's like,
yeah.
if you're making fun of the thing they don't even see, it's kind of weird. But anyway,
I don't know because I do it about me, and
yeah,
I have a lot of people come up to me and go, "Is that true?" And they're like, "Yeah, that
yeah,
is true." And they go away with more respect for
yeah.
disabled people.
I think mine was more around my appearance and my weight and that I was unattractive and things like that.
Right?
And I think that just kind of, then it just at some point it's like it's not funny anymore because it's kind of
Yeah,
this. So mine was more around that. And that's why I didn't do comedy. So why did I do comedy? Well, first, why didn't I? Like, so I spent probably I wanted to do it since my 20s, and I just always thought I wasn't someone people would want to see on stage. And I had this idea about myself in my head, and
yeah,
that I didn't have the right look, whether it was my weight or just how I look or how I dress or whatever. It was all these things I
yeah,
had just kind of messed up about myself. And I mean and sometimes people have made fun of my
yeah,
things like my weight and stuff that I was afraid of, but now I know I can handle it. Like, okay,
yeah,
if you want to do that, then that's your problem. I'm still
yeah.
funny. Like whether I look like what you want, I'm still funny. But I was around 33 and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this by the time I'm 40. So it was like this ridiculous goal of by the time I'm 40, so 7 years from now. And so I finally it was the eve before I turned 40, basically. It was like the month before that I finally tried it. And I just always
Oh,
wanted to, but I just didn't allow myself because I do feel joy when I do it, and I think it's a scary
yeah.
thing. So yeah,
It's the buzz of coming off stage and going, I've just made uh, a room laugh and
Mhm.
they don't know me. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's like taking that stuff that maybe got me in trouble for talking out of turn in school or talking in
Yeah,
meetings when I shouldn't or saying something maybe inappropriate for work or whatever, and just turning it into something that's okay on stage and actually like what people want. They want you to make them laugh. Like, and I'm very service minded. I like to do a lot of things to help others. And I feel like comedy in a way does that too. You're giving people some skill you have, which is an
yeah,
ability to take a situation and present it to them in a way that makes them laugh. And it's pretty cool.
yeah, definitely. I mean, did you do comedy before you came over here? Or,
Just right before, I mean, I started it and then I moved within 8 months. So I just
all
started
right,
kind
so
of,
you
yeah,
don't know the difference.
a little bit because in the US, I mean, the system of booking was very different.
Yeah,
Like for open mic level, which is my level. But you would just show up like in San Diego. I was in San Diego, so it was a small place, and compared to LA or New York or something.
yeah.
And so you could do a couple gigs a night if you timed it right.
Oh, wow.
And but you'd have to drive from one to the next. And um, you'd go sign up, wait around. It could be wait around for an hour or
Yeah,
four,
yeah,
and go to the next one. And then like you could do the comedy store there, but it would be like a 3 minute spot. You'd call, put your name in, see if it got drawn out. That was in San Diego. And so got to do different stuff like that. And then I performed in Portland and um Oakland, that's in Portland's in Oregon, Oakland's in California, LA once at that point. I've done a couple times in LA now, but mostly like most of my comedy's been done in lockdown and then in London. And I'm waiting
yeah,
for the time in London in the public to be longer than the time in lockdown, which we're almost there now. So that's good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we met over Zoom.
Yeah,
It was quite a few times, so yeah.
yeah,
A lot of comedians didn't like Zoom,
yeah,
but I found it made me a better comedian because it was harsh,
Hmm.
very harsh.
It was.
It was life destroying sometimes, wasn't
Well, because I mean, I don't know if you lived with your partner or not, but I live alone. I was living alone, and I
it?
would
I
just,
live alone, yeah.
yeah. So you're just like, there's no one to even make a face at. It's just like, well, that was weird. One time, and it's like I do appreciate anyone who came to see me online, right? Like I
Yeah.
appreciate it. However, like I just the one I can't get out of my head was when this one person was making a sandwich,
Oh,
and I'm just like,
God.
turn your camera off. And then why does it take you this long to make a sandwich that clearly has 1 to 2 ingredients in it? Like there was no, you know, and it was
Yeah.
just, it went on for so long. And I just kept out of the corner of my eye seeing this sandwich being made. And,
Yeah.
stuff like that was weird. And it was
Very
like, what are you doing?
distracting.
Are people driving? Like, did you ever see someone driving while they're on a,
Yes.
what?
It's like we're in lockdown. Why are you driving?
Exactly. And why are you on a video call driving too? Even lockdown or not, like, what? Like, this is not how you drive safely. I don't think.
Mm, mm, oh, oh, it's crazy. Um, so we came out of lockdown. You did you feel like you had to restart from the bottom, or was you further up the chain? Because I know I was halfway up,
Mhm.
and then lockdown happened, and I was told because I got a lot of paid work, but when lockdown opened up again, I was back down
Mhm.
the bottom.
Yeah,
With,
I mean, I wasn't, I'm still not. I don't really do paid work, but like, just because it's just for a couple reasons, really. But um, I felt like I met a lot of people, so that was cool because then
yeah,
every once in a while, like someone might say, "Hey, I'm doing this gig. Do you want to do 5 spot or whatever?" So that'd be cool.
yeah.
But then on the other hand, I was only living in London for a month before lockdown happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I had only done a couple of gigs in the wild anyway. So
Right.
from that perspective, I had to start learning the system again, like, and what people were doing. And it was a bit weird because I don't know, and I still think like the whole bringers when we were still wearing masks, well, those of us who chose to do so, and when we were still like really facing a lot of a different situation with COVID than we are now, it was crazy to me. People were like, "Oh, come into the small basement, and you have to bring someone." And what I was just like, "This is nuts." And so, I definitely like just kind of had to adjust to that and just
Yeah.
see who I felt safe having with me. And if they didn't feel safe, then I would just have to like not do a gig and
Yeah.
that was a struggle doing all that. But other than that, I think I was able to adjust. I mean, I think what it did, though, it made me a stronger comic, like you were saying, and it didn't feel like I was starting over from that perspective. So I think there's you starting over from the level you were at, but also a lot of people starting over like they hadn't done comedy in over a year. And I
Yeah.
think that had to be really hard. And I do feel like those of us who were on Zoom, at least at the time. I mean, now it's all six or half dozen, I'm sure, but like at that time, it really built up some resilience and kept using our skill set, and that was good. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, without lockdown, I wouldn't have read Blue Badge Bunch and shows like that. So I was always writing. Um, is there any shows you're writing at the moment? Or
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, it's interesting because in the US, I never would have thought of this as like a thing to even do at least this early, but I have about a half hour, a little more than that written, but then I've got to refine it. And so it's probably not that long, but called Nice Try. And it's something I'm working on that I'll probably be working on for another year or two that I started, but it really gets into the more deeper stuff like about MS. And because it's hard to talk about MS in a 5 minute set.
Yeah.
Like I have to introduce myself, make you try to establish that I'm someone that you can like in a way and talk about a disease. That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Some people can do it. It's hard for me to do, but it focuses on that and just kind of I'm someone who has had a lot of things happen and a lot of people are like the same, but still like overcomes it. And so part of it's been learning to kind of take some of the subjects and say, is my relationship with them such that I can do this or not yet? And even with the MS, like I had a relapse last year that wasn't great, and changed some things for me. And so it changed my relationship with some of my material I had written. So yeah, so I'm working on that show, but it'll be a little while longer. And it's funny, it sounds serious, but it's funny.
Cool. The only bit of advice I've got with that, if you've got 20 minutes of it, find two other or three other female comedians and do an hour show,
Yeah.
a 45-minute show where you all do 20 minutes, and that would be better than doing half an hour.
Mm.
So
Yeah, get the best.
you're building up to your hour show.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't do the full 30, try to do the 20 and get that
Yeah,
refined. And then yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people try, and I did. I mean, so I did Nice Try at Camden Fringe 2 years ago, and then I did it last year. And last year went great. I mean, it's not the best show ever, but it was great. Like for me, it was such a difference from the year before. The year before, I wasn't ready at all. Like last year, I probably wasn't ready, but the year before, I definitely wasn't.
Yeah,
And it was such a difficult thing to do. And so
it
yeah,
is.
that's a good advice for sure.
Did you film it?
Yeah,
Good,
I
good.
film everything, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to watch it back. Like,
I know, but there's so many comedians on the circuit who don't film a single thing, and then they wonder why they haven't got further in their career. It's
mhm,
because you need to learn from your mistakes. You can't just go on stage and do it and go, oh, that didn't work. That you need to play it back
mhm.
over and over again. I
Yeah,
mean, I hate watching myself, but I
yeah,
have to do it.
I agree. And I think that like what I've found out, and if you found this, is that I'm not the most reliable witness when I'm the one on stage because
Yeah.
I, whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to do my set, but then also I'm supposed to be listening to everyone, reacting to them, and then also assessing it at the same time. That assessment
Yeah.
part's really difficult. I mean, it's obvious sometimes that you did badly or you did well. Those are obvious
Yeah.
because you know how you feel, but then really getting in and saying, "Oh, this didn't work because of this," like that's hard to be honest with yourself about unless it's very obvious. Like, you know, I've done that thing where you say your punchline and then you go, "Oh, I just said my punchline.
Yeah.
I didn't do my setup." Okay, that's obvious. But other stuff, it's like the nuance of the words and stuff. That's
Yeah.
hard to remember if you don't, and if you don't have it recorded and you don't watch it, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice by not
Yeah.
creating that record for yourself, you know, and then delete it if you don't want to see it ever again after to watch it once.
Absolutely. Yeah. I never delete my stuff, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think I've got one, two, three, four, five hard drives full of videos because I film everything. So
Yeah.
even these, I keep them archived so I can go back and learn from you guys So when I am on TV eventually or
Yeah.
on the radio, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we had lockdown. You've just come over from the USA. Um, did you have many friends? Did you network? Were we your network of Zoom buddies?
Yeah. I didn't know too many people. I mean, because when I moved over, I mean, I met a couple people in person, and then I had to go on a trip for work pretty quick after I moved here. So I didn't know too many people. I ended up so stupid. I ended up making friends with someone at Whole Foods, like in Camden, and
Right.
heard my accent, and she was American also. And then we kind of established we were. She was from a part of Texas that was not misaligned with California where I'm from. And so
Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna come see me tonight at a gig actually. So we became friends over time because and then I have this one friend at Brewdog that I made that she was handling takeaway. And I was getting my beer, and I would just that was the errands I would go on, to get out of the house. And well, and I needed beer, I guess. So I met a couple
Yeah.
friends that way coming out of lockdown. So like the Brewdog Camden crew are some of my close friends, and I guess I could feel differently about the fact that I've become friends with everyone in a pub, but I think they're just people I hang out with, and they're great people, and they've been really supportive of me and even my comedy and stuff. And so that's kind of the people I met during lockdown. And then afterwards I met a lot of people in person from comedy, and then just made friends here and there, and
Yeah.
different networks. I have like a few different groups. I volunteer at a charity shop, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
friends with a few people there. But yeah, I didn't come over with friends, but I've been surprised working remotely. You can't really make work friends that
Yeah.
much, that unless they live in London. But yeah, I think comedy's really helped build my network though, and even
You
exercising.
you were saying this morning, or was it yesterday? I can't remember. Um, you needed to move the time because this morning you was doing boxing.
Yeah.
Does that help with your MS? Because um another promoter up north help cerebral palsy people box.
Oh.
And he wants to get me involved. And I'm like, but my wrists are so, the bones are very weak. I'm
Mm.
like, does it help? I don't
Well, you could put wraps on, but you just have to
know.
be careful what you did for you. I mean, I don't, know, but I think, yeah, I mean, the boxing is a funny one because I'm not a person who like would get in fights or something, but
Mm.
um, boxing does a couple things for me. It um a lot of it has to do with like cognitive stuff. So you're memorizing patterns and doing them, and kind of, and then making decisions really quickly. Like sometimes we'll do stuff where it's random. So he'll randomly do stuff with the paddles that I hit, and then I'll
Yeah,
have to like react to it. And so I like that. It's almost like probably dancing or something where you're learning moves and
yeah,
doing it. So I one of my biggest fears, I guess, is like my cognition will be taken from me versus anything else,
yeah,
because just because, I mean, I worry about that, and I should try not to worry, but I do. So I really like that aspect of it, and then it's good cardio. Like I started about a year ago, I guess, and like I'm very much, even though I've gained weight and stuff, which is annoying, but and not from boxing, that's just from me not eating how I should. But I'm really like cardiovascularly, like my health's better. I don't get as out of breath doing the same things I did a year ago. And yeah, it just kind of keeps me sharp. And I try to like, so I do like working out, but I'm not good about doing it. And so that's an activity that I'll stick with. And I have a cool trainer who I work with, just a half-hour session. And
yeah,
yeah, I think it helps. I mean, I have to be careful about temperature regulation. I don't know if that affects you, but if I get too hot, I definitely feel symptoms. But I communicate with my trainer, and what I've been really careful about is not to use that as an excuse, but just kind of to say, this is how I'm feeling today, and then he can adjust if we need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's helpful just from a cognition perspective for me.
I'm thinking of finding somewhere around here. Just, even if I do it once a week,
Yeah.
just like you said, the coordination
Mhm.
would help with my shape.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's cool because I mean you could even do it without gloves at first, and like then it wouldn't be as much.
no, so I like my hand.
Well, I mean you're not punching people in the face.
Oh,
But like
right.
you're not actually they hit pads, but I mean, but yeah, what you would do, I mean, my opinion, and this is for anyone, I mean, whatever physical like either ability, yeah, whatever physical ability you have, you talk to the person who's going to provide the service, and they should be able to work with you because that's their job. Their job is to really like my trainer's cool because he really cares about just getting people to a better place, whatever that is. But yeah,
Yeah,
you could totally do it and just like yeah, the coordination thing and it's a big one. Yeah.
yeah, because over lockdown I saw this but cerebral palsy woman boxing, and she was on her knees because she can't walk, and she
Oh,
was ducking and diving, and she was worse than me, and I'm like, well, if you can do it,
yeah.
I need to get off my fat ass and do it.
Benny, you're so tall too. You could do that thing where you could just hold their head and like
Yeah, it's like,
try to
come
push
on,
you.
mate, come on. I might get Mark in the ring.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Make him box you.
yeah.
That'd be
Come on, box me. Box me in Edinburgh.
yeah, it could be like
Yeah,
Benny boxes people up.
yeah, good. I like it. We've done that. We've done that. Any hobbies?
Yeah, I mean, I well, I have a podcast, so I like doing that.
Oh
Although I
yeah, what's your podcast called?
so my podcast is called More Than Work. It's not a comedy podcast, although sometimes it's funny just because you laugh
Yeah,
with the people on it. But it's just basically talking to people about what they do that motivates them and drives them. It's the tagline is your self-worth is more than your job title.
I like.
And it kind of derived from me facing burnout at work and then noticing other friends and other people I know just kind of doing a job for a long time and then feeling like they're not skilled to do it anywhere else or they
Yeah,
can't possibly like have a full life because of their work or whatever. And so it's just kind of talking to different people. I've had a few comics on, and then I've just had a lot of other people, founders of like nonprofits or other businesses and stuff.
yeah,
So I like that because I like talking to people and learning about them. And then I like riding my bicycle. I haven't done it in a while, but I have it. I took it out, so that was progress. But I like doing that. And I like going to the pub and having drinks and stuff.
yeah. I've got a bicycle. Jess said she's gonna buy one, and then because I find I don't know about you, I can ride further than what I can walk.
Yeah,
So if she gets a bike, we can go down the canal, round the parks, round me,
yeah,
and then I feel more free because I can ride my bike. Okay, I fall over, but that's why you got a helmet on,
yeah.
eh? Uh,
Oh my gosh, the people who don't wear helmets, I
oh
don't know.
my
I almost envy their
God.
inability to fall because I've fallen and I have a good way of falling now. I just hold on to the handlebars and just let it happen. I don't.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just hold on. That's what I do too because there's nothing else you can do.
yeah,
Um, and Yeah, so and you're right. I mean, on a bicycle, I still feel like a kid, because you can ride places that you can't necessarily walk, and you're kind of driving
Yeah.
with people, and it's fun. And so, yeah, I like doing that too. And I like movies and stuff, but I mean, those are the main things. Yeah.
Ooh, uh, I've lost where I am now. What is your favorite crisp?
Oh, well, so I have to do gluten free, so I can't have, and I do dairy free because of
Uh,
inflammation. So I would probably say something like cheddar or whatever, but I don't eat those. So I actually just like, what I like to do. So I like to have like those Tyrell's ones are good, I guess.
um,
They're kind of fancy probably, but and the sea salt ones, and I like to put them with hot sauce. Yeah,
well, I don't like hot sauce. Oof,
it's too spicy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Jess is a spicy girl, but I'm not. I don't know why she's with me then, but I know.
Well, you're not gonna steal her hot sauce, so that's good.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And I don't like cheese either. Mm.
Yeah. Well, the cheddar, I mean, it's kind of stinks sometimes. I don't know.
Can you have cheddar or do you have the vegan stuff?
Well, I'll have vegan cheese or no cheese. I mean, I can have cheese. Like, there's no reason I can't. I'm not lactose intolerant.
Mm.
I just kind of try to minimize inflammation. And I know
Yeah.
dairy's considered a food that can be inflammatory. And so there's a couple MS diets or protocols for MS that say no dairy. Now, the neurologists don't say that, but
Right.
other people do.
So
So,
you've gone into this like, right, I've got MS. I'm gonna beat you. What can I do to?
yeah.
So if okay, let's do this. If someone listens to this who's just been diagnosed with MS,
Mhm.
what would you say to them?
Well, just thinking back, and I still remember, I mean, this, and I did some newly diagnosed programs when I was in San Diego, but I think kind of I would say to understand that it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a full life because you can't. Whatever, everyone's diagnosis is different, everyone's experience is different, and just to sooner than later find the ways to incorporate it into your life rather than make it your whole life, but also like, and don't let it stop what you're doing. I mean, it's just kind of easy to say, I guess, but some days you don't feel well. That doesn't mean every day you won't feel well. And you can,
Exactly.
do, you can find things that are better for you to eat. You can make sure you do activities that are good. There's a lot of resources now. There's a lot of medication now that there wasn't 20 years ago, and they're making more progress. So kind of just, yeah, just kind of keep living and find ways to do what you love with your diagnosis being part
Yeah.
of you. Yeah.
Are you on medication then? Or,
Yes, I actually wasn't for years, and I just started it 2 months ago. So I was on it when I was first diagnosed for a few years, and then I whatever mental health things that happened made me kind of say I don't
yeah,
care, F it.
yeah,
And then just like last year with my relapse I didn't fully recover from it. And so the doctor said, it's time for you to go on medication. So I started it 2 months ago. It's okay. I mean, but you know what? I was sad. I mean, when I cried at the nurse at the office doctor's office with the nurse, and so I was surprised that I got that sad. I kind of just felt like, oh wow, things are changing. But then I told her, I said, I'm also very grateful that this exists because when I was diagnosed, there were like 3 medications. Now there's like 7 or more.
yeah.
Um, and
And
yeah, so
if you're in America and you can't afford it,
yeah.
you get something, but you don't get the right one.
Well, in the States, it was like when I was a student, it was $100 a month. And it was just a lot. And I was working full time while I was going to college full time. I just paid off my student loans actually like a month ago, but like
Wow.
yeah, but
Don't tell the English. They
well,
will.
yeah, it took me 20 something years, but
uh,
yeah, and that was with working. But yeah, I mean, it was expensive and all the scans and everything. I mean, I think the healthcare system here is just so much better from the perspective of
it
cost, but yeah, and just the fact that there are all these medications and they're constantly learning, constantly developing new
is.
ones. I do this thing with the MS Society, it's called the Research Network, and they have like patient and public information, right? Like
Right.
informing their grant decisions and stuff like that. And so I get to read a lot of grant applications about that studies people are doing, and it's really encouraging because they're really trying to do things to
Yep.
change. So
uh,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I met a lady a few months ago on a gig, and she said, "You're amazing. I support new parents with their child's diagnosis of cerebral
Huh.
palsy, and we go through so many tissues." And I'm like, I get why they're upset, but then you need to look at other cerebral palsy people and look how amazing. Okay, it's not a bed of roses. We do have our moments, but look what we've achieved since
Yeah,
we've been friends. We've had 2 tours of Blue Badge Bunch, and
yeah,
the amazing feedback from the children is amazing. So
yeah. I mean, you definitely, after meeting you online and then in person, and going through certain stuff I go through, which is totally different. I mean, I have thought of you a couple times when I go, man, like you are showing people though, like if you just keep going and
yeah,
you go on with it, and you have rough days, and you share that sometimes online,
yeah.
and
I
and
don't like to, but I think people need to know.
I think so too. I think it's important because you don't ever do it in a way that you want people to feel
Mm.
bad for you, though. You just say it
No,
like, this is what's going on. We need this awareness. And I share things sometimes about, I've gotten a couple scary things just walking home. I mean, not related to the MS, but um, that I've shared sometimes. And I feel weird about it. But then I think, no, people need to know what's going on. And I think you doing your show, bringing awareness is
yeah,
great.
that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Um, Being a female comedian on a 95% male heavy lineup, have you ever been asked, can I walk you to the station? I know it's sexist, but I'm 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 old English. If a female comedian has got to walk through an alley to
Yeah.
get to a car park and I'm with them, I go, I'm not being sexist, but would you like me to walk to your car just so they
Yeah.
feel a bit more safe?
Well, I mean, to me, it's not sexist, and I consider myself a feminist for sure, but I think there's a thing about putting that away for your safety,
Yeah,
and acknowledging that what's sexist is actually the person who's attacking women, I think, more than the
yeah,
person helping. Um, I don't get asked that. I mean, definitely, I think when there's other female comics on a bill, we say, "Oh, are you walking to the tube? Which tube are you going to?
yeah,
Oh, I can go to that one too." And you kind of, we don't ever say explicitly, let's walk together so we don't get attacked or raped or something. I don't ever do that with another female comic, but I also know that if someone asks me if they can walk with me, they're probably thinking something along those lines, and then
Yeah.
you do feel safer. And I'm trying to think. I mean, there's probably at least one guy who has done that. I mean, I gigged with Mark the other night, and there was another comic, and we all walked together, and it was kind of like Mark's like, "Oh, I'll stay around for your set, and then we'll go." And um, I don't know if he did that for any specific reason or just was being a good friend and seeing my set, but I think that yeah, I mean, I think it's good if people do that and acknowledge or put women on earlier if they feel safe. Like a lot of times, it's not a safe to even ask though, because well, I don't know. I can't speak for other women, but for me, sometimes I think I don't want to ask for something because I'm a woman, and then they'll be like, "This is why I don't have women on because they asked for this." But it's like, really, it's just the world we still live in. I mean, if I don't think anyone should get attacked on the way home. I wouldn't be
No,
happy if
no,
men did. Like, oh, now men are getting attacked. That's better. It's not. It's just
no.
really insane. But I don't think it's
It's
sexist.
like up here, you'll only find one woman on every bill, which
Yeah,
in my book is wrong. On a open mic, there's normally 7 comedians. Out of that 7 should be 4 females in my book.
yeah.
But their excuse is there's not enough female comedians. There is. I know there is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, some I don't apply to some gigs just because I know either I know someone performs there that I'm not comfortable around,
Yeah.
or I'm not comfortable around them. Um, the promoters themselves, a lot of times it's like there's a couple, at least one comic in London who I just think like it's not a matter of him being able to say what he wants or not. It's like what he says is truly awful,
Right.
and the people who keep booking him despite that, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be. And then or there's the guys who, and I say guys because it's only been guys so far. If a woman did it, I would say that. But like who go, oh, well, now we have a female comic. Well, the minute you do that, you've now made it so I have to work harder. But also like you've kind of just shown like you almost want a badge like you did your part. Oh, I did my part. I booked a female. See, now I'm gonna point out this.
Yeah.
It's like why announce you didn't do that to the guys, say, oh, I have another male comic coming up. It's just and that othering of people, then I'm like, you know what, you're kind of not the person I want to be performing for free for, you know?
The only reason why I've I've offered a job to a female comedian who's disabled is because I see, because I'm disabled, I've learned to sit back and look at the bigger picture. And my game show is all about disability and awareness of everyone.
Yeah.
You've got me who's male, you've got Mark who's male, but in my book, I want a female host so they can take the game show on their little tour.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the only reason I've done it because I've got nieces and I want them to have a better life. And if I'm not supporting female artists, then I feel like I'm not doing my job.
Mm.
Is that a bit hurt? I
Yeah.
don't know, am I doing right or wrong?
I mean, to me, I think it makes sense. And I think that there's the whole idea. So, like in corporate life, there's DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then there's this additional letter B, belonging. And what I've noticed, like on your gig, there's the belonging is there too. Like I haven't shown up and you and Mark are there and I don't feel like I belong, you know, like, oh, I've been included, you've had me on the bill, but do I belong? But then like
You,
I think there's a big difference, but then your intent is not to show other people, hey, I book women, so I'm a good
no,
guy. But
no,
it's more
not,
just to create a space that includes,
yeah,
because it's not like you go, oh, only boys come to this show, or
no,
I mean, there could be girls, could be non-binary kids. You don't know who's showing up.
exactly.
And so I think there's a big difference between inclusion just for the sake of it and inclusion along with belonging. And so, yeah, I think that's good. And I think inclusion doesn't mean exclusion. It doesn't mean, and I think that's what happens. And I did this coursework last year, or for like about 2 years at the Harvard Kennedy School, and it was around moral leadership and
Yeah,
policy change and stuff like that. And one thing we learned was that a lot of times people might agree with an idea, but they feel like they're getting something taken away from them.
yeah,
And so, like, if you give me a spot, that doesn't mean you're taking a spot away from someone else necessarily.
mm,
But a lot of people will say, let's see an all female lineup and go, well, why aren't there guys? Oh, it's okay to have all female, but we can't have all male. No, but you've been having all male. We
yeah,
had to create this lineup, or there's like, I'm going to the queer comedy club tonight. And it's the first like just queer club, like comedy club in the UK, as far as I understand. And
oh,
they'll
wow.
have queer nights and then they'll have not so queer nights where different people, but they're creating a space that's safer where queer people aren't going to have to hear straight people tell jokes about them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And stuff.
yeah,
And it's not excluding, it's just making sure that the people have a place who
yeah,
don't
yeah.
elsewhere. And so that was a really long, sorry, Benny, you got me on one.
No, it's fun, hence why,
Yeah.
um, oh, what's Mark's laugh out,
Left able.
laugh able. It's so disabled people can get together.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a male, female, they or transgender, we're all together.
Yeah.
It's like Blue Badge Bunch. We're all together.
Yeah.
It okay, it's got my name on it, it's got my photo, but you guys make the show as well.
Yeah.
It's not just me.
Yeah.
In my eyes. So I'm not one of these like, oh look what I've created. No, it's us. It's us.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it feels that way. I mean,
yeah.
I love doing that show. I did it in Edinburgh recently with Jim Bath, and it's great.
I can't wait till we're in Edinburgh doing it. It's gonna be awesome.
It is.
Because we're gonna bring the children on more. So
Yeah. Yeah, that worked really well for the shows you did in
yeah,
Bath. So yeah.
yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Just before we go, would you like to promote yourself? Where can people find you?
Yeah.
Um, I will leave all the links on the YouTube channel, but yeah, over
Yeah.
to you.
Sure. So it's for comedy, you can find me at Rabiah Comedy on any platform really. I mean, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And it's RABIAH and the word comedy. And then my podcast is More Than Work Pod on all the channels as well, except for TikTok. I just use the comedy one. But yeah, follow me if you want or get in touch or anything. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for coming. Don't go away. I'll just end
Yeah.
it.
Thanks,
So
Benny.
we will be back with another episode next week. Maybe. I don't know. I'll see how I feel. See you later.